Hi everyone and welcome to a new series here on Racing TV, this being the first instalment of Racing Royalty, and that is a series which is only going to celebrate those horses who've reached the absolute zenith, the pantheon of greats in the sport of horse racing. The first instalment here, we're going to celebrate a resident of the past at Seven Barrows who a decade or so ago wowed the public and reached that stage of racing immortality that very, very few do.
What kind of ridiculous, unthinkable monster is this?
I haven't had a feeling like that in a while. He is frighteningly good.
He's just got a ridiculous engine.
This could easily turn out to be the best two-mile chaser we've ever seen.
Sprinter Sacre, and Geraghty is motionless. This is a superstar of a horse.
Barry Geraghty has barely had to move a muscle.
Will Sprinter Sacre become the seventh seven-year-old to win the Sporting Bet Queen Mother Champion Chase?
Down the love, and a nation holds its breath. Sprinter Sacre is away and clear. Sizing Europe is best of the rest, but he is scintillating, he is sparkling, he is spine-tingling as they race up toward the line. A perfect 8 out of 8 over Benson.
The incomparable Sprinter Sacre.
Nikki, I want to talk about that year from the Arkle through the Queen Mother Champion Chase first time around. Simon Holt, the Channel 4 commentator at the time, I think he had it right when he said, a steeplechaser from the gods. And he kind of felt like that at that point, didn't he? He had the ability and the looks.
Well, he was a sort of film star, wasn't he?
He was,
I mean, he was the most beautiful horse you'll see. So there was that about him, but he sort of knew that. And he did play to his crowd at the gallery. He was unique at that stage. And he knew the whole thing backwards, but he was brilliant at home. His jumping was just ridiculous. He could do things that no other horses could do.
What kind of a man would Sprinter Sacre be if he was sat around the table with you?
He's sort of James Bond, wasn't he? Sean Connery or something like that, I'd think. A good old-fashioned Bond.
Yeah.
I can't remember who I can't remember who the new ones were, but Roger Moore and Sean Connery, they were the sort of guys Sprinter would have been. Yeah. Nico used to ride him all the time when Barry Geraghty was in the pound seats, and Nico was a young lad joining in at the, becoming a young jockey, and he rode Sprinter in all his work every day. And then along comes Barry and gets on him in the paddock and rides off and takes all the glory. I mean, anybody could have steered him, but bless him, Barry was wonderful, and they got on very well together. And then after AP retired, JP needed a new AP, and Barry was the man selected, which was great. But I remember talking to Barry about it, and I mean, yeah, but I want to stay on Sprinter Sacre. I said, Barry, anyway, the first time it came, JP had a runner. So there was no question, by which time Nico, who'd been looking after and riding Sprinter as a young horse at home, was now one of my senior jockeys, and there was no question he was going to ride him. Yeah, the two halves were sort of highlighted by the fact that there were two different jockeys.
Here's the final fence. Over the last. He's over it safely.
We all feel the emotion that Nicky Henderson is experiencing there, because this is a horse for the purists, but a horse more than that. He reaches the wider world, because Sprinter Sacre is once in a lifetime, quite simply breathtaking.
As they come to the second last, they're quickening up now. Sprinter Sacre on the near side, and Sizing Europe together. Sprinter Sacre on the near side, Sizing Europe putting it up to him, but Sprinter Sacre on the near side, the leader as they come to the final fence. Sprinter Sacre from Sizing Europe at the last. Sprinter Sacre jumps it well. Sizing Europe in second, a long way clear of Blaze Hotel and racing up towards the line. He's done it at Cheltenham, he's done it at Aintree, and he's doing it at Punchestown in all its glory. It's a comfortable enough win in the end for the mighty Sprinter Sacre. Sizing Europe is second.
So from the novice campaign for Sprinter Sacre through to that magnificent, unblemished, pitch-perfect campaign in 2012 through 2013, the wide margin win in the Queen Mother Champion Chase, stepping up in trip to win at Aintree, and then going over to Ireland to show the Irish just what Sprinter could do on their soil. Everything was rosy in Sprinter Sacre's garden. But from that point onwards, the waters got a bit choppy. But In the case of true sports stars across so many different disciplines, it's the ability to get back up off the canvas and show that you are sporting royalty.
Sprinter's comeback was difficult because he actually came back and it wasn't working. And things weren't going really that well here, and we ran him a couple of times. It wasn't going well. Everybody was baying for retirement. What's the silly
We're all
fool
geniuses,
doing?
aren't we? Yeah.
What's he doing? Retire him. And we're obstinate.
Do you reflect on that? I mean, stressful at the time, but now with the most positivity and warmth when thinking about that whole era, from adversity to triumph again.
But I suppose to make those great days, you've got to, as you say, you've got to start from somewhere rock bottom.
Was Kempton that, by the way, when the press gathered around you that day and the rider was off Sprinter Sacre and it had all gone wrong over Christmas? Did it feel like the bottom?
It did.
In second, Sacre Grugy, and he's now gone about three, and Sprinter Sacre's being pulled up by Barry Geraghty. Sprinter Sacre pulled up after crossing over fence number 7. He will not take the open ditch.
First, number 1, Sacre Grugy.
At the moment, both as where he pulled up and when we listened to him there, and they both listened to him there, that he does appear to have an irregular heartbeat. And I mean, that is significant.
And then he was diagnosed with atrial fibrillation. Celia Marr jumped in the next day and he was off there to, see if we could get it sorted. There was no certainty that he'd recover. Celia always said that it won't be the fact that his heart was actually damaged or anything. It's actually the one thing that would be damaged would be his confidence. And that's what you've got to get back. And, for a long time it definitely wasn't working. But gradually it came back, and I think it was all about building up his confidence and belief in himself again, that it wouldn't happen again.
And could you see that coming back?
Yes,
even if the results didn't reflect it?
In the last bit, when he did start to come back. Simon Sigg was the only horse that we used to work him with.
Yeah.
Jerry McGrath used to ride Simon Sigg, Nico on Sprinter Sacre, and it was dangerous doing things like that because you can wreck two good horses if you let them get silly. Luckily, there were two very sensible boys riding them, and they could complement each other. But by God, they were good. They were terrifying. But after that, on his comeback, he was working with the least talented horses I'd got. i.e., he had to give him something that we knew he could rule over, to try and make him feel he was still the best, because he wasn't. And Caroline Mould and Raymond, they said, okay, if you want to keep going, and pretty sure that autumn that we were getting somewhere near. He wasn't as good as he was, but he was still a very good horse, and he came back and won the Schlur chase, and then he made a bit of a pig's ear of winning at Kempton.
Sprinter Sacre's going to need a big leap at the last to challenge. It's Sacre Grugy with the lead. Sprinter Sacre's coming back. The battle over the last. Sacre Grugy made a mistake. Sprinter Sacre put their head in front, and it's a real scrap to the line. Sprinter Sacre getting on top to win the Desert Orchid Chase.
I always sort of refer to it as the second innings. In his first innings, he was utterly unbeatable. He was the only horse I've ever had that you couldn't beat him. Second time round, he wasn't as good, and his jumping was still spectacular.
Was it as close to the top at Cheltenham? Do you think that place in your racing lifetime had got to as well when he returned to win in 2016?
That was the day.
It was, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. The crowd was unbelievable.
And they showed their appreciation in kind.
It was just unforgettable. It really was.
The last performance, April, last day of the season, 2016, where we crowned champions, the emotional comeback had been and gone. What did he beat? Under 15 lengths on his last ever race. It was a lovely way to, in the end, say goodbye.
Yeah. I remember it well, because I remember actually Willie saying to me, the ground must have been quite good, because I think Willie thought the ground was too quick for Undissa, which probably helped us, whereas Sprinter loved good ground. So I just remember that before the race, Willie saying to me, I don't think this horse is going to like the ground, so my face lit up. I thought, we might have a squeak here.
This is the first episode of Racing Royalty. They have to be at the very top. He really was every inch that, wasn't he, Sprinter Sacre? He is almost first name on the team sheet, I guess, when you're talking about yours to be put into a bracket like that.
at his best, he was the best.
Underso crosses over the third from home. A slight mistake by Sprinter Sacre, but he has now improved into second on the inside of Special Tiara. A break at 3 lengths back to God's Own as they race into the dip. They have 2 fences to take in the 2016 Betway Queen Mother Champion Chase, and the old champion, the 2013 champion, Sprinter Sacre, has sprung into the lead. A slight stumble on the final turn. Here's the second from home. Sprinter Sacre clears away by 3. Underso on the inside, followed by Special Tiara and God's Own. Sprinter Sacre is over the final fence and clear. Underso is in second, back in third Special Tiara, followed then by God's Own. But it is Sprinter Sacre. They say they never come back. This is one of the great comebacks in the history of the Cheltenham Festival, as Sprinter Sacre is the champion again.
An imperious display. Sprinter Sacre regains his crown. Here he comes. We've had 2 fantastic races already today, prior to the champion chase, but in the last 10 minutes or so, Cheltenham has just come alive, and the roof of the new grandstand is about to be lifted clean off as Nico de Boinville on the horse whom he knows so well, Sprinter Sacre, the former hero, returning to the winner's enclosure, his second Betway Queen Mother Champion Chase success. Just listen to this roar.